Okay, we're here this afternoon for the scheduled meeting of the Board of Elections. It's my understanding that notice of this meeting was published by the Director of the Bureau of Elections. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that also included the fact that today's meeting would concern changes for polling locations and any other such business as may come before the board. So we'll have an official call to order, and before we proceed to the agenda, I don't know if there are any preliminary matters that need to be addressed by council or anyone present.
No, Judge, I would just let you know that it was advertised and the agenda was published online according to the Sunshine Act requirements.
Okay, and we would start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Will we not? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Judge Boyle and I are used to oh yay, but we don't have to have that for the start of today's proceeding. I do see that the first item of business is the approval of the minutes which have been submitted. We obviously were not present at the time of the Board of Elections, which you had present at that time Commissioner Notarian, Commissioner Dominic, and Commissioner Shermack. I assume that the minutes have been reviewed by people who were present and therefore appear to be in order. Is that correct? The only change I would make is on page 2 under members other business, where Commissioner Shermack addressed, I do believe it was Director Hopkins and not Director Hopkins who spoke. So it would not be H-O-K-P-I-N-S, it would be H-O-P-K-I-N-S. All right. Ready?
Yeah, so I was over the commissioners.
Yeah, no, you want to be chair?
We'll be chair. I nominate you chair. Second? All in favor? Aye.
All right, vice chair.
I nominate Marsh to be vice chair.
Okay, I second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, there we go. And
Are we going to declare the winners?
not yet.
That's an honor.
Not yet. That one comes later. But I do see on the next agenda item, you then have the motion to follow Robert's Rules of Orders. I assume that's always followed when conducting the Board of Elections. So
Yes.
we'll entertain a motion to follow Robert's Rules of Order.
So,
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes. Next, we'll be hearing from the Director of Elections, Elizabeth Hopkins. I see where there's six temporary relocations of polling locations and one permanent. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, do you want to address those globally, or do we have to consider each one individually?
That's up to you.
You can do it globally, Judge, if you
Okay.
want. She was explaining what each one is for, and then if you want to do one vote, that's fine.
Okay,
Okay.
fine. Go ahead.
Okay, so the first temporary location will be in Dunmore 11, from Our Lady of Peace residence at 1510 University Avenue in Dunmore to the Dunmore Community Center at 1414 Monroe Avenue. That's due to COVID. They don't want us to use the polling place. It's not a permanent move, it's temporary. The next 3 moves are all in Old Forge. It would be Old Forge 3 from the Old Forge Borough Senior Center, 310 South Main Street. Old Forge 6-1, which is the Old Forge Municipal Building, also at 310 South Main Street, and Old Forge 6-2, which is also the Municipal Building at 310 South Main Street. They're all being moved to the Eagle McClure Hose Company, 375 Milwaukee Avenue in Old Forge, and that is due to construction in the Municipal Building. The next location move that's temporary would be Scranton 6-1, that's Riverside Housing at 200 Emmett Street, and that's in the Bellevue section of Scranton, and that was due to a fire in their community room, and it's temporarily moved to Jackson Heights with the anticipation that they're going to rebuild that room. And Jackson Heights is located at 1001 Jackson Street in Scranton. The next temporary move would be Scranton 7-1. It's the Boys and Girls Club of Scranton, 609 Ash Street, and that's going to the Scranton Cultural Center, 420 North Washington Avenue, and that's due to COVID. They don't want us to use the building, still due to COVID. So they're all temporary moves at this time.
And I assume the moves that are being made to the nearest polling place.
We have done this before, that's correct, and there'll be postings at the old polling location, so if any voters should go there in error, it tells them where they should go.
That's usually the phone call we get on election.
Correct,
days.
that is
I showed
correct.
up and it's the wrong.
Most of these have been changed now for like the second year or so, so most of the voters know. It's not, they don't want them to be permanent yet, because we're still kind of waiting to see, but they're temporary at this time. And do you want to vote on those? And
Okay, then
go to the
I guess we
permanent
could have omnibus consideration of motions 23-2002, 23-2003, 23-2004, 23-2005, 23-2006, and 23-2007, which would be the temporary relocation of those polling locations for the stated reasons involving COVID and construction and fire damage. And we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second. Second by Judge Bates. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and they will all be approved as the temporary relocations. And then 23-2008 is a permanent relocation.
That's correct. So this polling location is for Archibald 1-1. It was at St. Luke's Lutheran Church at 435 Main Street in Archibald. We're moving that to the Archibald Community Ambulance Association building at 195 Delaware Street in Archibald. We were notified on November 21st of 2022 that the church no longer wanted to entertain being a polling place. Their congregation had dwindled to only about 12 to 16 attendees, and the majority of them work, and the rest of them, due to age, have a hard time overseeing the task, and they just asked if we could move it. So we did do a handicap accessibility study at the new building, and it met all of our requirements, and so we're going to move that, and all of those voters will be notified by a letter that will be sent to them tomorrow to let them know that's a permanent change.
And does the Archibald Community Ambulance Association building currently serve?
It does not. It
Okay,
does,
so
it's
this will
not
be
a
a
polling,
first
it will be the first time that we have a polling place there, that's
And-
correct.
What ballpark, what's the distance from 435 Main Street to 195
All I
Delaware?
can say is not very far. I wouldn't be able to give you the exact, I didn't go do the accessibility study, the
Okay.
deputy director did.
But the nearest compliant location?
It is, because we did speak to some of the elected officials in Archibald, they're aware of it, and they suggested this location that would be the closest, best option for us.
All right, then we'll entertain a motion to approve motion 23-2008 for that permanent relocation of the polling place for Archibald 1-1.
So,
Judge Maurice, second.
Second.
Judge Moyle, all in favor? Aye. That will be approved as well. And then the final agenda item is motion 23-2010, which is to assign poll workers from outside their election district. Do you want to address that?
Sure. So we have 163 polling places in Lackawanna County. Ideally, we would have an elected judge of election and majority and minority inspector of election. However, sometimes people get elected to office by write-in, they're not interested in the position, it creates a vacancy. We do our best to try to find someone to cover those positions that resides in that district and it is their voting district, and sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes you're also notified the night before election, someone's ill, they can't be there. So we do like to, we kind of say, go to the bullpen, and we try to find other people that are willing to work elections. They may live in Scranton, we need to use them in Dunmore, that would be like one example, or Clark Summit, and we need to put them in Taylor. So we just like the board to assign them outside of their district, because ideally they should be working in the district they reside in, but it doesn't always happen.
In years past, I don't know if it's still a custom, but some of the smaller places used to actually have the elections that morning. There was 2 or 3 people who showed up who would elect themselves the judges and majority minority inspector. Not a great practice, but sometimes it just happened that way. I assume that's no longer common practice.
No, not for a while, no.
except in Luca.
Yeah. We'll then entertain a motion to approve motion 23-2010 to assign poll workers to work the May 16th, 2023 municipal primary election outside of their voting districts for the reasons as stated by the Director of Elections.
I'll make a
So moved
motion.
by Judge Moyle, second by Judge Boris, all in favor?
Aye.
And that has passed as well. Next on the agenda is the opportunity for the public to address the board, and I do not see, other than my law clerk, any other members present. And he certainly is not going to be speaking or seeking to address the board. Any other business, either from the representatives here or anyone else?
Nothing.
Anything else that needs to be addressed at today's agenda?
No, sir.
Okay.
You don't foresee anything else before the election, correct?
I'm sorry?
You don't foresee anything else before the election, correct?
No, not
Usually,
before, no.
unless there was some sort of emergency,
Just a-
polling place relocation,
Fire,
Fire,
something
something
happens,
terrible.
unfortunate, where one polling places have to be done within
but hopefully,
24 hours.
no.
Yeah.
We'll just meet with you again after the election to certify the election once it's done.
If you saw the decision today of the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, be happy that you're not in Fulton County, Pennsylvania today.
I didn't see it.
It was sanctioned quite
Really?
heavily for allowing third-party
To
access
have access.
to the
Oh, my
machines that then later had to be decertified.
Wow.
Yeah. So-
I did read about it.
And,
This staff does a terrific job.
and I should tell you, the lawyer for the county was reported to the Pennsylvania Disciplinary Board by the Supreme Court. Yeah.
That's never good.
No.
But if you could hold on for a second, she needs your signature on the watch.
The watcher certificate, and then the watcher has to be signed by the board.
Sure.
before
Okay.
they're
All
distributed.
right, and other than signing that, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
A second. Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank